What up? It's your boy Pat, aka That Varsity Geek, here with some more sports-related content for you guys this week. Now, there's a debate that's been raging on for years, and over the last couple of years, it's actually gotten some steam in the positive, and that would be whether or not student athletes deserve to get paid. Now, there have been people on both sides talking and giving their opinions, but I just really wanted to give it to you from my perspective, which is the perspective of a former student athlete. And if you want my short answer, it's absolutely, unequivocally yes. Student athletes deserve to get paid. I mean, being a college athlete is going to give you a drastically different college experience than you're going to see with any other normal student. Just like any other student, college athletes are required to attend all of their classes and receive good enough marks to remain in good academic standing with the university. However, they're also required to deal with mandatory meetings, workouts, practices, games, travel time during the week and during the weekends, film sessions, study sessions, all kinds of things that you're not going to experience as a normal student. Honestly, being a student athlete can easily give you double the workload when compared to your average student. Also, just because of the time constraints when you're talking about all these mandatory things that you have to go to as a student athlete, it's a lot harder for you to find and hold down a job because there's always something else that's going to require your attention at certain times during the day. I know for me personally it was difficult being a biochemistry major in college because not only did I have all of my football requirements that I had to go to, but I also had mandatory labs associated with all of my science classes. So with all of those things combined, it's really hard to find the time to do all the stuff for football, go to class, go to all my labs, find time to study, find time to do my assignments, as well as trying to hold down a job. And when you look at it, student athletes bring in hundreds of millions of dollars to these universities in the form of their likenesses, their performances on the field, advertising and marketing, etc. And I mean, where else are you going to put in that much extra work and not expect to get paid for it? I know if any of you had to do this much extra work at your job, you would be asking for overtime too. And that's pretty much what's going on here. Student athletes are doing way more work and are creating a lot more revenue for the universities, so they deserve to get paid for that. Now, the biggest counter argument that you're going to hear when this is brought up is that their tuition is paying them. However, this line of thinking really neglects a couple of key factors. When you look at it, that might have been true back in the days when colleges weren't really bringing in a lot of money from sports. But currently, the NCAA is a multi-billion-dollar entity that is making money strictly off of the backs of its student athletes. And like I said before, colleges are bringing in hundreds of millions of dollars because of their student athletes. When you start looking at it, early on it was a kind of even trade-off because colleges weren't really bringing in that much money. But as colleges started to bring in more and more money, even with the price of tuition, student athletes are not getting their fair share of the pie and compared to what's being brought into the schools. And because of the increased revenue that's generated because of college athletes, colleges are making so much money off of the free labor of their student athletes that it's honestly ridiculous. The athletes really deserve a piece of that pie because they're doing a lot of the work that's drawing in that money. And also, the argument of scholarships is really neglecting a key and very large portion of your student athletes, the athletes who aren't on scholarship. Colleges can only offer so many scholarships per year. And then you also have schools like mine, where at the time, they didn't offer athletic scholarships for football players. So there are plenty of student athletes out here who are doing the same amount of work as anybody on scholarship, but still have to pay to go to the university. And I mean, neglecting them in this kind of argument is really trying to ignore some of the facts. You can't say that the tuition that you're gonna get paid, room and board, all that stuff from being an athlete is how we're gonna pay you if you're not giving that and offering that to every single person who's on the team. Now recently, the NCAA approved a plan that would allow student athletes to get paid by third parties for their likenesses, endorsements, and things like that. On the surface, it seems like a step in the right direction and a good move, but honestly, if you look at it closely, it's really just a smokescreen. For starters, the colleges still are not paying the athletes themselves. So what's going on is these third parties are allowed to pay the college athlete, which is not going to be a huge amount of money, but the colleges are still getting the hundreds of millions of dollars that their student athletes are generating for them, and they don't have to give that back to the students. And that's where the problem really lies. The colleges are getting so much money based on these student athletes that the athletes deserve to get some of that money back. And secondly, the number of athletes who can really make money off this is pretty small. For example, of the dozens of players that are on a college football team, how many of them do you actually know by name? And how many of them do you think are really going to be able to pull money in on their likenesses and from endorsements? Even at the local level, not even talking about lucrative national level endorsements. The way that the college system is set up now, you really just don't have enough star power from players for them to be able to make enough money off of their likenesses and from endorsements like that. Which is why it seems like a step in the good direction, but the number of people who are going to make money like that is very, very small. Only people who are on like your Reggie Bush, Tim Tebow kind of status are going to be able to make any kind of money with these things. This is really just a way for the NCAA to appease college athletes and to try to keep the colleges from having to pay them for as long as possible. And it's only a matter of time before the colleges actually have to start paying the players directly, so they're just going to try to stall. Now this week, Reggie Bush brought up a very good point that I've been thinking about and that I've been discussing with other people ever since we started talking about college athletes being paid. If you're going to pay college athletes, you have to invest in some guidance and some training when it comes to their financial status. A lot of these players are coming from circumstances where they haven't been taught or learned about good finances, keeping your credit high, making a savings account, good investments, all that kind of stuff. And so it's very important that if they're going to be getting money from the colleges, that they know what to do with it and they know how to set themselves up for a good future after college. Just like it's important to get that kind of support for players who are drafted into like the NFL and the NBA, you also have to give that level of support to these college athletes because some of them could potentially be getting much more money than they've ever seen in their life, and you have to show them what to do with it so that they don't go down the wrong path with it, don't make bad investments, don't waste it, don't gamble it all away. You have to give them the support right off the rip. And I mean, I know my opinions are biased. I'm coming from the perspective of a former college athlete, so I've had to live a lot of these things. But I mean, the way that the college athletes are viewed on campus, all the stuff that they have to go through that average students don't, you can't tell me that they don't deserve to get paid. You can miss me with all those opinions. All the reasoning behind it is sound, and if you don't think that these college athletes should be getting paid, I really don't know what to tell you. We need to invest in our student athletes and just our normal students in a much better way if you want them to be more productive members of society, be in better financial situations, and better able to deal with just the rigors of life. So those are just my opinions. Let me know what you guys think. Do you think that college athletes deserve to get paid? What are your reasonings either for or against it? How long do you think it's going to take? Do you think that athletes can really make a lot of money on endorsements in college? All those things, anything that you can think of, just drop it in the comments and let's talk about it. I've been Pat, that Varsity Geek, with some more sports-related content for you. Peace out. Have a great week.